2023. Max is how old? 19 or 20? Almost 20.
Yeah, almost 20.
And Rory is 19. And I think it was, I don't know, about 19-ish years ago that we met, and we quickly became best friends, and we became friends with mac and cheese.
Because
it's all you guys ate. In fact, it was disgusting because it's all you ate.
all you ate.
So we thought today, we would share the family recipe. Mac and cheese. No, we're just teasing. What we'd like you to do is upgrade to your favorite mac and cheese, Tracy's mac and cheese, our new family mac and cheese.
I don't think I ever told you how it was that I came by my recipe for the mac and cheese, actually.
No, you haven't.
And it came from Kira one Thanksgiving when she asked me to make it. And I was like, I have never made mac and cheese from scratch. So it was Martha Stewart's recipe that she told me to go look up. And I looked at the recipe and it was a nice recipe, but I thought, nope, I'm gonna do it different because that's what I do. So she had nutmeg in hers. I don't like nutmeg, so there's no nutmeg in this. And because I am from Wisconsin, there's more cheese, always more cheese. All right, so we have all of our ingredients here. Pecorino Romano, extra sharp cheddar, got salt, butter, cayenne pepper for some kick. Got the pasta, a little bit of flour and milk for the bechamel sauce, and then some greens, a few greens.
Yeah, gotta have a vegetable-ish thing in there, right?
That's right. Because you know I like to work fast and efficiently, I like to assemble all the pots ahead of time. So we got our pasta pot filled with water here. We've got our big saucepan for the bechamel sauce. You'll find out what that is in a second. And then we're gonna scald some milk in here, and this is for melting butter.
All right, so the first step is we're gonna slightly, Max and Rory, listen to this, not a tablespoon, not a teaspoon, just a dash. In fact, do it in your hand so that you know you don't have too much, then drop it in the water, and that is lightly salted water.
In goes our 5.5 cups of milk. So there's 2. And then we set that on medium-low because we don't want it to burn. We put things away as we go along, don't we?
Wouldn't that be nice?
So we are going to now melt just 2. Ooh, that was not good. I needed to get a cutting board. That would have been more responsible. Learn, listen. All right, so we're gonna put this in the small saucepan. This is what we're going to use to toss our bread cubes in. So that can go there. And then the rest of the butter can go into here. This is our bechamel sauce. Thank you kindly. And we're gonna start that at low, so that way we can melt that gently. And then we are going to grab half a cup of flour to have at the ready once the butter melts. And then I'm just gonna use this to level it out, because precision can be lovely. There we go.
All right, so we have multiple things happening at once. I know that multitasking can be difficult, but with a little focus, you can do it. So we've got the water boiling, we've got the butter melting very slowly, and we have the milk heating up again very slowly. You don't want to burn it or overcook it. All right, so now we're gonna get 6 pieces of bread ready. And because I know both of you prefer no crust, as we would watch you take this and eat out the middle when you were little. No judgment. Okay, maybe a lot of judgment. So we'll cut the crust off and then we're gonna make this into cubes.
Yeah, you can cut them into cubes. You could tear it up by hand. Either one is totally fine, and probably about crouton size like you'd see in the restaurant.
All right, the part I like the most.
Yeah, it's ironic that we take off the crusts to make the crust of the top of the mac and cheese.
It is.
All right, while you're doing that, I am going to go ahead and butter our pan. So that way the mac and cheese does not stick stick to the pan. We get to eat as much deliciousness as we can. So we do the sides and the bottom. And just a nice note, you might see here, I just kept the wrapper around the end. That way I don't have to get my fingers all buttery. And this is a well-buttered pan. So I want to point out around the milk, I'm keeping an eye on it because you want to scald it. So what's happening right now, there are little bubbles just about starting to appear here. We want those bubbles to be just a little bit bigger, and then we'll turn off the pan. This allows for us to make the bechamel sauce, which is made out of butter, milk, and flour, and allows it to be of a more smooth consistency.
All right, so now you're about to learn one of the most important secrets. First of all, it does give you a time of how long to bake or boil this. Do not pay attention to the instructions. The critical part about boiling the noodles is that you only boil them for 3 minutes. And that way they're partially baked or partially softened. But when you put them in the dish and they have the milk and the butter and the cheese, it's all gonna ooze in and flavor your noodles. And that's what makes this mac and cheese the best. And set our timers for 3 minutes.
Yeah, you might want to give the pasta exactly, that way it doesn't stick to the bottom. Thank you. Remember manners when you're cooking together, right? Right.
We're trying to get every single lesson you haven't learned in now because we realize there's limited opportunity to teach you things at this point. It's true.
There's the bubbles there in the pan, and that is just about perfect. And you see this, yep, you can see the steam rising there. So we're gonna go ahead and turn that off right now.
All right, we're turning off the noodles because 3 minutes happened. I'm just gonna pour it into the colander in the sink here and let them sit. Remember, we're gonna rinse it off with cold water because we don't want it to keep cooking. We want it to be sort of crunchy. Remember, we said we're gonna mix it all together and it's gonna absorb the milk and the butter and the cheese and be oh so gooey and delicious.
So we are now ready to make the bechamel sauce. We're going to turn the burner on down to medium-low, and you grab your whisk and your flour and just start sprinkling in some flour and whisk it a little bit at a time. You don't want to dump it in all at once, otherwise it will make it chunky, and that's not good. So just a little bit at a time. All right, so you'll see here that it looks like a paste. And we do this for about 2 to 3 minutes. Could you please turn on your handy dandy timer? Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the heat up to medium, and we begin adding our milk. The same way that we added the flour a little bit at a time, we do the same with our milk, only a little bit at a time. You gotta have good biceps to be able to do this, because holding the pan above so it's ready to go into your sauce is lovely. You'll see here inside the pan that it is thickening up. It looks like mashed potatoes a little bit right now, and that's okay. You want to go slow so that there are no lumps. Going gradually really helps this sauce that we are going to put the cheese into. You can go briskly if you'd like to. If you want to go fast, or if you're feeling a little bit more leisurely, you can go slow.
I don't know if the boys will be going slow.
Probably not ever. You want to be really thorough in ensuring that all of it is mixed in well. Looks like it's ready for another pour. And when you get to be a pro, like me, you'll be able to know when it is that you can just do one final dumping of the milk, and we're almost close to it right now. It gets to a thinner consistency, and there are no more lumps in it, so you can just go ahead and put in the rest of the milk. We're very close to that right now. Blancmange is pudding. Did you know that?
Oh no, but it sounds yummy.
I learned it from Little Women. You remember when Joe would take Lori over some blancmange, and I was like, ooh, that's so exotic. And then she found out it was pudding. All right, so now we're ready for the final dumping. You see how it looks nice and silky in the pan? So I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of the milk. Oh, hey, let's go ahead and preheat the oven now, because what's gonna happen, you have 375, 350, 375. I like 375 because it gives a little bit more of a crust.
Yeah.
And that's really good timing, because this needs to simmer at medium to medium high, right in between there, for between 8 to 10 minutes is what it was.
So I'll set a timer for 8 minutes.
Thank you.
And then we'll check.
Excellent. And then as this is simmering, we will go ahead and grate our pecorino and measure out our cheese.
So I'm going to grate the cheese. You can do it by hand, which is my preferred method. However, if you have earned enough money and your kitchen is well stocked and you want to use a little food processor, that works too. But for me, we're just going to sit here and grind it by hand. It's nice therapy. I get to reflect on life.
But every 2 minutes that you've got your bechamel sauce on here, you want to be sure to whisk. You can feel along the bottom. You feel for any resistance because that means it's sticking. You don't want the sticking. So we just gently whisk and scrape the bottom as we do whisk to create a nice uniformity for the sauce. All right, so now that that's all nice and mixed, I'm going to go ahead and get the breadcrumbs buttered. Breadcrumbs buttered.
Breadcrumbs.
Can't say it, there's a tongue twister for you. So turning the little saucepan down on low to melt the butter.
Yeah, I think like one of the things that I really hope for is that at some point you two may choose to have kids. You may not, but if you do, certainly you'll probably start with the box mac and cheese because it's just a survival. Like honestly, like you'll be so exhausted and busy and trying to be a new parent. It's tough. But we hope that at some point you'll pull out this video and teach your kids to make it and bring this as a recipe into your home.
Sweet to think of.
Yes. And of course, both of us will make it anytime you come over. So, if you just are needing some and don't want to do it yourself, just remember, you come visit, we might do it.
If you have grandkids, what do you want them to call you? Do you know yet?
Oh, I haven't thought about that. Did you know?
I'm good with Mima.
Okay.
I'm good with anything, honestly, but I really like Mima because then the kids would have to call Robert Peepaw.
I like that.
Even now, we'll go, okay. The kids will say, oh, Dad's in Peepaw mode.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. And yes, you're allowed to sample the food as you're going, if it's your dish. You're not allowed to come and sample while we're cooking. That's not okay.
All right, the butter's now melted. Turn off the heat. So here's a pro tip. I always reserve a little bit of the breadcrumbs because after I pour the butter in here, you'll see that it coats the top. And because I don't like to waste, I'll put that in there. And I scrape all the butter around. Okay. Breadcrumbs soak the butter in. Deliciousness.
Oh, that is a huge pro tip.
See, Shelli, you use sea salt. I tend to use kosher salt. They're both fine for something like this because it melts. And I'm not sure if you knew, the reason I use kosher salt is like when you use it on meat or fish, the crystals of it, they're more multifaceted. And so you theoretically could use less of it, but get the same amount of flavor because it catches differently on your tongue.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't that? I thought so
Alright.
too. So
The anatomy of a salt flesh.
a teaspoon of cayenne.
We'll just use it all.
Blow out our sinuses.
Okay.
You know, if you're sick and you need comfort food and a decongestant. Once that's all nicely mixed up, we're gonna put about 5.5 cups right on into this. Probably don't wanna have your whisk in that. We're gonna get a spoon for that instead because it makes it just too hard to clean up at times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so if you look in here, maybe difficult to capture, but there's still like streaks of cheese in it. So you just want to keep stirring until that's completely blended and there's no striations in there. It's just all one color. All right, are we close?
I think we're ready.
Yay.
Macaroni. And everything is off, so I can just go ahead and start.
All right, then we can, okay, we're ready.
Yes.
Drop and rinse, pick up and rinse.
We can't waste any of this.
And it's not like you all haven't eaten stuff off the floor because we've seen it.
Only because they got to it before we did. So we just give this a nice thorough mix now. We're just about done.
Oh, I'm so hungry.
All right, this is now all thoroughly mixed up, so we are going to go ahead and... That went right on my foot. Did you think I'm not licking it up afterwards?
Just you know, try not to get it on your partner. All right, final touches, which is so fun. We just get to put the breadcrumbs, sprinkle them all over as evenly as possible, but if it's not perfect, no biggie. Just means you get a bite with extra goodness. And so we're gonna get these on. And then we're gonna put the cheese on, put it in the oven. And we might put a cookie tray under it. You think it's gonna boil over?
It might, but I don't think so. It
Okay.
should thicken up.
So we don't have to do that. Yay. All right, how much cheese should I?
Whole thing. All of it.
It's going to be so cheesy. This might be the cheesiest one yet. Now you both wish you were here. More reasons to come see your moms.
Yes.
We will never get enough of you. You will always be welcome.
Or Mimas.
Exactly.
Or great Mimas.
Ooh.
I don't think I'm gonna make it.
That's one step at a time.
All right, gonna open up the oven and we're gonna put it right in the middle.
Yay.
Slide it on in and set the timer for 30 minutes.
Ta-da! Yay! All right, so you can notice Tracy is using her 30 minutes wisely by drinking tea. You are going to use your 30 minutes while it cooks to do the dishes. Ta-da! Kitchen's clean and now you're ready to eat. We're so hungry. Ta-da!
Beautiful.
Dinner
Is served.